What's going on, YouTube? R to the double E dash to the Z-O-N coming at y'all once again, man. And I'll be making probably not just this video, but maybe one other video later on today. So you guys might get a double dose of Reason on Reezonoticz Gaming here on the channel. It's been a little bit since I made my last video, not too long, but has been a while. And the last video I believe was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a reaction to the Nintendo Direct that announced Endless Ocean Luminous was coming in May. Uh, and y'all saw my reaction to that. I lost my fucking mind because this is my favorite franchise. My favorite Endless Ocean, the original, and Endless Ocean Blue World were my two favorite games on the Nintendo Wii. The Nintendo Wii is my second favorite console of all time. And out of all the hundreds of amazing games on the Wii, because everybody knows that even though it was the joke or the butt of a lot of jokes back in the day, and the Wii was a kid's toy and all that compared to the PS3 and Xbox 360, even though the Wii completely bitch slapped both of them in sales and just dominated that generation. Everybody knows, despite all that trolling and all that insecure, macho man, like I only play with hardcore consoles, the Wii was trash. Despite all that, everybody knows that the Wii had the best library of games and just straight up classics of that generation. No system had better top rated games when it came to its main franchises than the Wii. Sony didn't have better, Sony's games like God of War and all that, and their franchises, and Xbox with their Gears of War and Halo, as great as all those games were, weren't as highly rated and as critically acclaimed as Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, as The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, as Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, as Smash Brothers Brawl, as Mario Kart Wii. Let's be honest, it wasn't. And despite all those amazing games, Endless Ocean and Endless Ocean Blue World were my favorite games on that console. Because, I guess just to sum it up, bro, if you're a marine life fan, if you're an ocean fan, if you love the animals of the ocean, and just the awesomeness of that environment and the mystery of that environment and the amazing creatures that call that environment home, then this is the kind of game that's just going to give you a freaking instant hard on because it's what you want. So I can't just go walk into my backyard right now, put on a scuba tank and dive into the ocean and go see this shit for myself. But this game does a wonderful job. This franchise does a wonderful job of allowing the player to escape into that alien world and just see the majesty and basically, for lack of a better phraseology, the proof of God's existence when you see these amazing creatures and in their habitat, and it's so lifelike and it's so real, and you're exploring it and discovering, and you get that sense of awe and wonder every time you come across a shipwreck or a secret network of caves, or you dive into an abyss in a trench and the light doesn't even penetrate from the sun, and you got to use the flashlight, and you're discovering creatures out there, and it's just awesome. So yeah, man. So I had always wanted Nintendo to continue that franchise, but the Wii seemed like the perfect place for that franchise. The Wii seemed like the perfect place for these games, for this kind of game, because the Wii was the kind of console where Nintendo, for the first time ever, wasn't so concerned about the technical processing power of the console, but was more interested in thinking outside the box and basically creating a new type of game, a new way of gaming, a new way of experiencing gaming. And that's why these games thrived the way they did, because this was brand new. This was not, oh, good guy, bad guy, a sci-fi shooter, you got to get from point A to point B. It wasn't none of that linear shit. It was wide open, explore, create your own adventure every time you dive beneath the waves. No time limit, no having you have to stick to the story and the narrative. You could follow the story if you choose to in either of these games. You could play these games for 10 plus years and never have even touched the story if you decide to. So yeah, man, that was different, and I thought the Wii was the perfect console for that, and I didn't think Nintendo would ever get back to that again. Because even though the Switch, the Wii U was awesome. I love the Wii U. I don't care what anybody says. You guys know that. But the Switch is phenomenal. But the Switch, even though power-wise, it wasn't trying to compete with Sony and Microsoft. Innovation-wise, it was, because it's the first ever hybrid home console that works basically the same, whether you're on the go or whether you dock it and play it on the TV. So that didn't seem like how can I explain it? Like the Switch didn't seem to me like the console where Nintendo was gonna experiment with games again, like they did on the Wii. But I guess I should have seen it in hindsight because the whole concept of the Switch is an experiment. Was an experiment. So all of a sudden, this Nintendo Direct comes around, and they reveal Endless Ocean Luminous, the third game in the franchise, 14 years after the sequel. I'm sorry, after the predecessor, and I lose my shit, and I cannot wait. And other people that I know and people that have either been fans of the game just like me, or people that I have introduced the game to through my videos and my coverage on the previous two titles, are hitting me up like Mercury. Steve hits me up. Oh my God, it's coming! We won! Like when they revealed it, everybody was hyped. Everybody that's a fan of this franchise was hyped. So I've been waiting, bro. And then I think it was second, right? May 2nd comes around and the game releases. I get off of work. I go straight to GameStop and I buy the physical copy, Endless Ocean Luminous. I will show you the cartridge, but the cartridge is in my Switch. It hasn't left my Switch in a month since the game came out. So yeah, man. So I buy it, I bring it home, and I begin to experience this game. Now, of course, we know how Reezonoticz feels about the critics and the professional reviewers. I could not care less about their opinions of anything, let alone this game. I couldn't care less if I actively tried to. Like, if you were to pay me money, I would not be able to care any less than I already don't care. So suffice it to say, they destroy this game. They trash it. Even though the original Endless Ocean and Endless Ocean Blue World got pretty decent reviews, this one has gotten 5 out of 10s, 4 out of 10s. I think I saw one 7 out of 10 was the highest I saw it get. Whatever. But then you go into those reviews, and the same thing happens. You go and you look through the comment section. People who actually are on the ground with their hands on the controller playing the game, i.e., the people the fucking game was made for, playing it, leaving their comments talking about how they're having a blast with the game and they're so happy this game is here and they're enjoying every minute and they're enjoying all the different discoveries you make and all that. Like always, the critics need to not only eat a fat dick, but choke on it and die while they're at it so we don't have to deal with them anymore. I mean, honestly, it's just enough. Your job is obsolete. It's not needed. No one cares what you think. No one. Your own mothers don't care what you think. So, but yeah, so then I start to experience the game. And I'm just going to cut to the chase and then we're going to talk about all the details. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This is what I was waiting for. Another Endless Ocean. Simple and plain. I was a little concerned. I didn't voice my concerns because I was so hyped about this game. It was going to be great for me no matter what. But deep in my psyche, I was kind of concerned that maybe because it's the Switch and because it's so many generations later, and like I said, I didn't feel like the Switch was a console that really wanted to experiment too much as far as the games go. I was afraid they were going to make it very story driven and kind of restrict you in that sense that you have to complete the story and it's going to be this big narrative. I'm so glad they didn't go that route. It is traditional Endless Ocean. There is a story. It's somewhat compelling, but it's whatever. It's this the story in Endless Ocean has always been there just to if you get bored of just exploring whatever. I don't know how you could because I can't, but if you wanted to try something different, you can go and try and follow the story. And you got the story of the original one, which was based around the ancient mother, which was the giant white whale, and the story revolving that in the pelagic sea. Then you had the story in the Endless Ocean 2 Blue World that revolved around the Okeanites or Oki. I don't know how to say their name. It's an ancient civilization. It had to do with Atlantis and ancient cities like that. Ancient ocean. The civilization that lived by the ocean and utilized the ocean a lot, and they were lost to time. And you find the Okeanites guardian, which was this freaking huge, mutant-looking goblin shark, and all that. The story was really good, really fun, but you didn't have to follow it. And the same thing here. We have a story in Endless Ocean Luminous revolving around the Veiled Sea. Now, the Veiled Sea is, basically in a nutshell, it's a body of water. It's an ocean, huge, that the gimmick for the game is that it it is procedurally generated. It's random. So every time you dive, it's a different dive. It's the same veiled sea, but the topography and where things are and what things are there and what things are not there from dive to dive changes. So it's always a new environment, so to speak. Awesome. Love that dynamic. But the story revolves around that body of water and this this thing called the world coral. And again, I'm not, it's not really spoilers. If you play the game, you're gonna see that at the very beginning of the story. And basically, in a nutshell, the world coral is like the life-giving essence. It's like the Deku tree in The Legend of Zelda, and it's what gives the veiled sea, and as a result, all of life on Earth. It's life. It's like the life source. It's like if you're talking about Mortal Kombat, this is the Jinsei. Uh, Basically, that's what it is. And so the world coral has this necrotizing like bacteria on it that's growing on it, and it's causing certain parts of the world coral to die. And as that happens, the light the light, aka life, from the region and the creatures there starting to get, starting to basically evaporate. I mean, that's not the right word, but vanish basically. And so that's the story. You're trying to find out what's going on with the world coral, how you can help it, how you can solve this dilemma. And so I don't want to go into too many other parts of the story because I don't want to spoil important stuff. I mean, it's not really anything huge. I mean, like I said, the story in this game is just there as an alternative, as a this thing that's just there. It's not bad, but it's like I personally rather just go fucking free diving and just create my own story as I explore and find things. But whatever. So yeah, that's the story mode in a nutshell. One thing I saw people complaining about, and I understand the complaint, but it doesn't. It's not something that I'm going to complain about because it doesn't really make an ounce of difference to me. Excuse me. Is that certain things, or I'm sorry, not certain things, certain chapters of the story you can't access until you've scanned so many number of creatures or discovered so many number of areas or whatnot. It's locked behind an achievement you have to accomplish in solo dives and free diving before you can access that part of the story. That rubs some people the wrong way. For me, I didn't care because I'm going solo diving all the fucking time. So I mean, there was literally a time where I solo dive, and when I solo dive, since there's no time limit and you can be there as long as you want, I basically fill out that entire map every time. Meaning, when you first start your dive, the map is completely blank in traditional endless ocean fashion. And wherever you go on that map, as you go swimming through areas, you start to fill out the map. I fill out that fucking map pretty much 100% every dive. Every one of my dives is an hour plus, easy. And I'm finding so many things and scanning so many animals and collecting. Because when you scan the animals, you're collecting the light from them. So you'll see the animal at first, it'll have this like blue glow, or like not glow, but this blue hue to it. And once you scan it, the light comes off of it, you absorb the light, and then the animal's its normal pigmentation or normal color or normal look. That's the light from the world coral that's being dissipated as the world coral dies. From the story, anyways. So I'm doing that so often that I did that, and then when I finally went to the story, like 6 or 7 of the chapters of the story were available to me right away because I had already reached those thresholds of scanned as many creatures, explored as many areas and whatnot. By the time I went to go play the story, because I was free diving like a motherfucker and having a blast and just finding all the like I always say with the Endless Ocean games and Pilot Wing 64 and games like that. I'm just getting lost in the world the developer made for me and having a blast discovering and coming across all the little nooks and crannies and all the little intricacies and secrets and mysteries that they tucked away in that world for us to have fun with. So that didn't bother me. But yeah, man, I mean, you have a couple of options when you start the game, right? You can do a shared dive, which is an online dive. I'm still waiting for Mercury to fix his internet so that I can fucking dive with him. But I have already dove with other people. Like they have, and that's another thing I'll get into. But you have shared dives where you can dive online with up to 30 other up to 29 other divers. 30 in total can be in the same session in the same world. You have solo dives, which is where the meat of the game is at. That's where I go every time I boot up the game. Go to solo dive, and when you go to solo dive, you can resume the dive you were previously on or start a brand new one. So if you don't have to worry in the sense of like, oh, the world is procedurally generated every time you dive. And let's say you're diving, you're having a blast, you're discovering a lot of good loot and a lot of interesting animals and all that in this dive, but you don't have time to finish it or fill out the map or whatever, and you got to quit that dive. You don't have to worry because when you go to solo dives the next time, it will give you the option to resume that dive. And all the progress you had in that dive is there on the map, mapped out and everything, and you can continue where you left off. Awesome fucking feature, by the way. Or you could just start a new dive. So you got those options. So you got shared dives, which is online diving. You got solo dives, which is basically free diving. Go like the original Endless Ocean says. Basically, dive, discover, dream. I mean, straight up, it's awesome. And then you have, let me see. I forgot what the third option was. Let me see. Okay, you got shared dives, solo dives. Oh yeah, and the story mode, which we already talked about. But then there's also a fourth box that you can select, which is something brand new to the franchise: event dives. Now, kind of like Splatoon does Splatfest. I love the fact that they're doing this. I hope they do more. I already took part in the first one. That's where I experienced the online diving, which is buttery smooth. It is awesome. There's no frame dropping. There's no like lagginess or nothing. It's awesome. Um, is event dives. It's like these community events where they say from this date to this date, from this time to this time, this event's going on. And you have the chance to link up with divers from across the world and explore the region together. And during those dives, you'll have a better chance of encountering creatures and locations that are a lot harder and a lot more are locked behind a lot more conditions to when you try to find them in solo dives. For these special events, it's like okay, you might encounter something that is damn near impossible to encounter in the real game or in the solo dives. So that's awesome. I took part in that one. The first one, I think it was the Song of Dragons event or whatever. And there was like I saw 6 or 7 different divers in there aside from myself, and we would follow each other. We would take selfies together because that's another thing. There's an amazing photo mode in the game where you press the L trigger. It turns into like a grid, which is like a camera mode, and you can position it however you want and take some amazing screenshots. In that, you can make them first person view, third person view, or selfie mode, which is like basically like taking a selfie. Your diver has tons of different emotes that you can unlock or purchase in the in-game store, not for real currency, not for real money, for the money that you win in the game. Um, so the photo mode is awesome, bro. My Nintendo Switch album has just been dominated now by Endless Ocean screenshots left and right. It also has different lens filters. So you can have night vision, you can have comic book, like where it's black and white. You can have this one called horror, which is like a real dark like horror movie look. A bunch of different effects, different filters. If you hear that rumbling in the background, again, I live very close to the Air Force Base, so there's fucking jets that fucking like fighter jets that fucking fly over like and don't give a shit about my privacy. They just fucking ruin my day with noise all day long. So if you hear that, that's what that is. But yeah, so the photo mode is awesome. What else can I say about it, bro? The creature variety. Okay, so keep in mind, this is how much I love this game. This is how much I love this franchise. This is how much I've been playing. I've played nothing else on my Switch for the last month. I'm gonna give you the exact numbers. I'm gonna show you as a matter of fact. So they have logs like the previous Endless Ocean games, where you can see the different creatures you've encountered, the different loot or treasure you found, and whatnot. Creature log. Let's see if I can get it in focus. You see it right there in the top corner? How it says the total number is 578. I have 518 of them already. No bullshit. These are all creatures I've encountered. Look how many creatures there are in the fucking game. That is awesome. And not one of them does it feel like the artists were lazy and tried to cut corners. Every character model looks lifelike, like its real life counterpart, moves and behaves like its real life counterpart. And another thing I'll say that's before I show you the other logs, that's awesome, is that as great as the other two Endless Oceans before this were, in those games the creatures they were kind of locked into a certain area of the map. What I mean by that is if you focused on them, like you scan them and you focused on them and you're watching them swim around and just get a close up look of them and you get to see their info and all that. When you got out of that and you were back to your diver, they were still there in that same area. It's almost like they were just doing loops or whatever pattern they were doing in that area, and they wouldn't really traverse the entire ocean. Here, the creatures are bro. It's because again, the Switch is a lot more powerful than the Wii was, and you have a lot more to play with, processing power wise. The creatures are alive in this game. So like, if I scan one and focus on it, and it's right next to me, yeah, it's gonna zoom in, and I'm gonna have a great look at it, and be able to hear, not just read, but now you hear your AI companion reads the scientific info and all the facts about the creature, and you're gonna be watching it and all that. If you get out of that and it goes back to your diver, there's a good chance that animal might be long gone or hundreds of feet away because they're not stuck in that pattern in that small area where you found them. They're literally moving and swimming all around the ocean like they would in real life. So that's awesome. And it's so much more realistic. But yeah, so then the other log, you got the salvage log, right? So the salvage log, there's 340. See the top corner? 340 different pieces of loot. I don't know. I can't tell from where I'm standing if you guys can see that. Or if it's, if it's getting... Yeah, see? 340. I have 198. And again, all that. Look how much loot there is in the game for you to find. And for you to discover. So that's awesome, bro. But yeah, and then here's the home screen. Like I said, you got your solo dives, your shared dives, your event dives, and your story mode. Just a phenomenal game, bro. Very well put together. Even the menu system is awesome. Oh, and then you got customize. You go to customize, you can literally customize your diver. Everything from the color patterns on their wetsuit, the stickers that you can add to their wetsuit, and the emotes that you can use during dives. There's exclamation marks on all three because I've unlocked a bunch of new ones because I was recently playing. So yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of customization. Real cool. The stickers are just like designs that you add to your wetsuit. So you can have like a dolphin on your fins if you want, or on the back on the scuba tank you can have like a great white shark or something. So it's pretty cool. Just a lot more to offer than the previous Endless Ocean games in that sense, content wise. I will say, as much as I love this game and as perfect as it is, there are some things I wish they didn't do or I wish they would have done. For example, like if you compare the three, Endless Ocean Blue World, and Endless Ocean Luminous, I am going to tell you that Endless Ocean Luminous is overall the best Endless Ocean title that's been crafted. But that can be true, and at the same time, Blue World can still be the more complete game. What I mean by that, let me turn that music down. I don't know if that's bothering y'all. What I mean by that is there's a couple of features and a couple of gameplay design choices in Blue World that make it a more complete game. For example, your ability, in both an Endless Ocean Blue World and an Endless Ocean, the original, the ability to peek above the surface of the water. You go to the top, boom, you press A, and you get a first-person view of the surface of the water in the area you're in, and you can look around, and you can see the islands or whatever, the rock formations or whatever that are coming out of the water in the particular area of the map that you're at. They don't have that in this one. I wish they did. I don't know why they took that out. Maybe it was an oversight. Maybe they just didn't feel it was necessary. Also, Blue World had the areas where you can get out of the water and walk around on dry land and see some of the land animals like the crocodiles or the iguanas or whatnot. They don't have that in this one either. So those are two negatives. I'm willing to be like, yeah, I love this game. It's amazing. The reviews that it's getting, they all need to just jump off a fucking building. Nobody cares. It's awesome. But those two things I miss because they fleshed out the gameplay experience a little bit more. What else? Music-wise. The music in Luminous is great. It doesn't do anything to pull in a negative direction for the gameplay, but with this game, they took a Breath of the Wild and a Tears of the Kingdom approach. What I mean by that is You're playing Breath of the Wild. You're out there in Hyrule Field just running around exploring. It's fucking ghost quiet. There's no music for the most part. It's just the sounds of the wind and the grass and whatever. But then every once in a while, depending on where you are or just what's going on, you'll get little musical cues that come in, like the little piano, like, like, or when the Guardian shows up. Music comes in and out in Breath of the Wild. It does that in Luminous also, which works really good. You're under the ocean. The sound of your scuba tank and the bubbles and the rushing of the water is pretty much all you hear. The distant cries of whales. That's awesome, bro. When that happens, you're just like, oh shit, because the sound is so good. The audio design is great. And then all of a sudden you'll hear a little melody play through. And when that happens, it's beautiful and it's awesome and it enhances the experience. But that is less than what we had in Blue World and especially the original Endless Ocean. Actually both of them I think had I believe both of them did had the vocalist. I think she was from Sweden. Haley Westenra. Her voice and her singing "Amazing Grace" or her singing the Spirits song or whatever from the original soundtrack of the original Endless Ocean. Though that soundtrack, both of those, but especially the original, was so damn epic, and just made the world in a much more limited hardware like the Wii come to life so much better because of those vocals and because of that music that was constantly playing. Also, the original Endless Ocean had the ability to, through an SD card, to put in your own soundtrack, put in your own music into the game, which was just fucking awesome. So things like that, yeah, this game doesn't have. But I feel like this game followed a design model that the Switch is all too familiar with. The Switch being a hybrid, the Switch being the easy access, quick and go, get in and play immediately type of game. They streamlined a lot of the game. So that's a negative for some, a positive for others. For me, it's just a case-by-case scenario on what we're talking about. But that's really it, man. I mean, there's far more creatures in this than there were in any of the other two. I think you can combine both of those and you get about what you have in this, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot more loot to find. The procedurally generated world bro, I cannot stress enough how that makes it so you never get bored. I mean, I've been playing nonstop. When I say nonstop, I mean nonstop. Every time I play, it's multiple hour sessions. I've played every day. The only days I haven't played were Saturday and Sunday of this past weekend because it was my sister's wedding and even though I took the Switch with me, I just didn't play because we were at the wedding and we were getting smashed and we were dancing and we were having a blast. And then after that, it was time to come back home so I can get to work on time. So other than those 2 days, every fucking day, even the days I've been pulling 16-hour shifts at my job, I'll come home and I'll still play. I'm hooked. This is a godsend, a prayer answered for me in the video game world by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Straight up, this is something I have been wanting since Blue World in 2010. So I can't say enough good things about it, man. And one thing I love. Okay, yeah. So there's also, as we know from the trailer, the reveal trailer, we know there are excuse me, there are real life, modern day creatures, and then there are prehistoric, thought to be extinct. They are extinct, but unfortunately, but prehistoric creatures. The megalodon is in this game. The fucking megalodon. The plesiosauruses, the mosasaurus. All these prehistoric creatures, both great and small, are in this game. And then you have not one, Endless Ocean Blue World did that too, so I can't say like it's something new. But you have multiple like mythical creatures. Like so far, I've discovered. I don't know how many there are. It looks like there's a lot, bro. Because that whole, when I showed you the log of creatures, that whole bottom 2 rows that was empty, I think those are all mythicals. Because the beginning of that, the first 4 or 5 I have unlocked, those are mythicals, all of them. So you have, like, for example, a white sea lion, actually, that every time he shows up, he's digging in the ocean floor for artifacts. And he'll come out with, like, a crown or, like, a necklace or something. He's always finding accessories. And then when you scan him and find out information about him, then wherever he's at, he drops those. So there's a lot of valuable loot to find. There is a giant fucking pelican that you'll see sections where there's pelicans diving into the water, and then all of a sudden this massive one will dive in, and he's one of the mythicals. There's these 2. I found 2 so far that are like, they're not mosasauruses, but they're in that kind of family of ocean reptile. but they in the game it says that they belong more to the whale family because they make whale sounds and they emit these high frequency like you can see it these like bubble rings from them as they're coming by. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome whenever you discover any one of those. But also, all the mythical and legendary creatures from Endless Ocean and Endless Ocean Blue World are also in the game. So the ancient mother from the original Endless Ocean, the big white whale, she's in that motherfucker. The Okeanides or Okeanos, I forgot to say their name. The Guardian, that crazy looking goblin shark, he's in the game. That badass great white from Endless Ocean Blue World, Thanatos, he's in the game, and they gave him a makeover. He looks different. He looks fucking crazy. The Black Harbinger, which was this like black humpback whale that had a big dorsal fin, like almost like a shark fin from Blue World. If you've played Blue World and you're familiar with that, that's in the game. All the mythicals from both games are in this game, along with their own set, which seems to be a lot of mythicals. So it's awesome. The creature variety is great. So yeah, man, I'm loving it, bro. I'm loving it. If I had to give it a score, honest, not just because it's one of my favorite franchises ever and all that, honest score, I can't give it. I can't give it less. I can't, in good conscience, give this game less than an 8. It is an 8 out of 10 or above. For me, it's a 9. It's a 9. I'm not going to say 9.5 or 10 because I do miss those things I mentioned that were in Blue World that are not here. But it's a 9. It's a 9 for me, a 9 out of 10, which is fucking phenomenal. And I'm just so glad to have it, bro. And bro, this right here means so fucking much to me. You have no clue, bro. I went and bought the physical and everything, bro. I ain't playing. I don't give a fuck. I'm not downloading it. Man, I will probably download it. Like I said, I'll probably double dip just to have it digitally. But yeah, man, I am so happy to have it, bro. Such a phenomenal game, bro. Let me grab this chair real quick. Make it easier for me. But yeah, bro, I'm in love with it. It's a fantastic game. It has the same sense of awe and wonder, as I said before, when you're exploring and when you come across, creatures that you haven't encountered before, big or small. I still get fucking like psyched every time I scan something, and it could be microscopic and it has a question mark. That means I've never encountered that creature before. It's like unlocking an achievement on Xbox when you're playing Xbox. I get that rush where I'm like, oh, what is it? What is it? And then I gotta see, and then I have, okay, so I know I have a brand new addition to my creature log. I love that shit, dude. A lot of people have said this is basically like marine Pokemon Snap. I guess I was never a huge fan of Pokemon Snap. I played the original. I didn't play the new one on Switch. There's a lot more exploring than Pokemon Snap because if I recall, at least the original Pokemon Snap, I don't know about the new one, was on rails. No, this you can go anywhere, whenever, however you want. Another cool thing is while you're diving, the time of day changes the longer you're down there. So you'll see different type of lighting and illuminating effects in the water, especially if you're close to the surface, throughout the day. So it'll be morning, it'll be noon, it'll be evening, it'll be night. So those are the 4 times a days that you were able to pick an Endless Ocean when you wanted to go diving. Morning, noon, evening, and night. They all happen naturally through time as you dive in this game. So you'll be diving and maybe morning. If you're in there for 15, 20 minutes, all of a sudden you'll see the lighting is kind of a little bit different. Different creatures are coming out and you'll go and press pause and it'll tell you noon. It'll tell you what time of day you're at. So that's also cool. Yeah, man, it's just a great Endless Ocean game. Again, this kind of game is for those. Best way to say it. This type of game is for those who it's for. If you're a fan of marine life, if you are interested and intrigued, and if you're the type of dude like me who every time I have to watch Shark Week every year. If I don't, I have to watch it at a later date. I have to watch it because I'm a shark fanatic. Anytime I see dolphins or whales on TV, I'm stopping on that channel and watching what it's about. I love the ocean and its creatures, and I'm an ocean person. So this is perfect for me. If you're anything like that, don't hesitate. Go buy the game. Go buy the game because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's the best. Out of all the ocean themed games I've played, Subnautica, Abzu, Beyond Blue, all games. Subnautica shouldn't even be in the discussion because Subnautica is more of an adventure game. Subnautica is more of like it's a survival game, and it's on a foreign planet with the ocean life. There is not your traditional ocean life. But Beyond Blue and Abzu and games like that, they're good, but they don't touch. Endless Ocean is the pinnacle of scuba diving. I don't want to say simulation because people are like, oh, like this one, unlike Blue World and unlike the original, there's no air meter. So you can dive for as long as you want. Oh, that's unrealistic. That's why I don't say simulation. But as far as scuba diving game, this is the cream of the crop. This franchise. I love the fact that they took away the air meter. I love that because it's like, bro, I don't want to be limited. I want to be able to do what you can't do in real life. I want to be down there as long as I can. I want to as long as I want to be. I want to be able to not have to worry about any kind of restrictions. In Endless Ocean Blue World, you had the creatures there was no violence, but they could attack. And they attacked you, you lost some of your air meter. That's gone in this game. And I'm perfectly fine with it because if you're not excuse me, if you're not going to have the real life violence that could happen if you get attacked by a shark or a whale or a jellyfish or whatever, if you're not going to have full-fledged the real outcomes that would happen in that situation, you're just going to have the animal do like a tail whip or whatever and hit you and then the air goes down. I'd rather have nothing than have that. I'd rather have nothing. No aggression from the animals at all. Because like I love Blue World, but it was kind of cheesy that you'd be being chased by the great whites and say danger, danger. When the great white comes up to you, it boom, and tail whips you. It's like, oh, and you lose a little bit of air. That's not real. That great white will come up to you, it would grab you, it would thrash you, and it would tear chunks out of you. So we're not gonna have that, then don't give me anything. And that's what this game does. It just takes that element completely out and it literally makes it a relaxing Zen-like experience where you're just like getting lost in this world. And there's no concern of danger. There's no concern of running out of air. There's no concern of any kind other than where am I going to go next and what am I going to find? I love that. So, yeah, man. I think that's all I got to say, bro. It's a phenomenal game, bro. Phenomenal. Like I said, 9 out of 10. I would not be comfortable. I wouldn't be being honest if I gave it anything less than an 8. It's phenomenal, bro. I mean, it does not deserve anything less than an 8. For me, it's a 9 because it's just Endless Ocean and it has the same spirit and the same vibe as the original and Blue World. And I'm getting a chance, again, by God's grace, I'm getting a chance to get lost in the Endless Ocean type experience all over again 14 years later in a brand new packaging, in a brand new game. I always go back every year. I go back and revisit these, and it's not as magical as the first time because nothing ever is, but it's damn near as magical as the first time, even to this day. But there's the familiarity that I've played both of these fucking God knows how many times. It's beautiful to have a brand new one I've never played before. So just awesome, man. I can't heap enough praise on it. I can't tell you how happy I am that this is a reality and that it's in my possession and that I can play it right now when I finish this video. And I was playing it right before I did this video. I was thinking about, I was playing it and I was like, damn, when the hell am I going to get to dive with fucking Mercury? He's having internet issues. And once he popped in my head, I remember him saying, hey, bro, I'm waiting for the review. I'm like, shit, let me go do the review now. So yeah, man, awesome game. Very, very happy. And yeah, that's it, man. I give it a 9 out of 10. Coming up next, I'm gonna make another video talking about more of the news and events happening within the industry. So I'll see you on that one, man. God bless y'all. Stay gaming. It's the R to the double E dash to the Z with the EO Luminous. Yeah.